All right, it's 5:30. We'll start the business session. And the President's report. All the board members are in attendance. Next board meeting was scheduled originally August 15th, but three of us are going to be gone, so is that all right for August 22nd, everyone? Okay. Set the next board meeting August 22nd. And then, yep, 5 if we need executive session, and business meeting at 5:30. And September meeting is September 12th.
Do we want to look at stretching that one too because of the proximity to August 22nd, or will there be enough business in the short term down to do that?
I will be leaving the 15th of September and will be gone for 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, we
Oh,
might.
okay. All right.
How long? 3 to 4 weeks.
Leave it where it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
And number 7, administrative reports. Report on energy efficiency project.
Okay. Pull up the right page here. So at the last board meeting, you signed we approved the contract with CISA 10 to be essentially our agent or to assist us through the process of doing an energy efficiency project. They are not the ones actually doing the work. They are simply guiding us in this process, making sure that we've dotted the I's and crossed the T's. Since then, as of today, we sent out a request for qualifications. So if you hear the words RFQ, that's a request for our qualifications. Those were sent to contractors along with being published in the newspaper and being published on our website. So the RFQ went out for this project, the scope of which right now we're anticipating could be about $250,000. In scope, it'd be a little more than last year. We're looking at roof efficiencies, basically insulating the roofing or insulating our ceilings and roofs and doing re-roof work over the top of that. We have several areas where that would be very helpful and needed. We have a lot of areas where that would be needed. One item that has changed, if you remember last year, we did the resolution to exceed the revenue cap for the energy efficiency projects. We did that resolution at the annual meeting. The legislature has changed the timeline. We now have to have that done by October 1st. So we will have prepared for you for the September board meeting a resolution that would allow us to exceed the revenue cap for the express purpose of conducting an energy efficiency project. And that's how we did that last year. Last year we were able to do that project and keep the mill rate the same. So our tax rate was the same, even though we exceeded the revenue cap. We didn't, as a whole, raise taxes to do it. This year, just by the initial look at the budget, our mill rate will likely come down, so our tax rate will likely have to come down anyways, and we will probably be able to do this project and still have our tax rate come down. It is just it's the nature of where our budget's at the moment. So, so we are looking to have this put in place by October 1st this year and ready to go. We are receiving back submissions from the qualified contractors by July 25th, and we'll need to by August 22nd at that board meeting. That night we'll select the qualified energy efficiency contractor. So what happens, and just so that you know, we have to have a qualified energy contractor. That may not necessarily be the contractor who does the work, but they are the contractor who guarantees that it's going to meet the energy efficiency standards and what we have basically set out as our project goals. They're the ones who make sure that all the energy calculations are correct. It could be then another contractor, for instance, a roofer probably isn't going to know how to do the energy side of what needs to be done for the state. So that's why I have energy contractor who will then run the project. And they'll go out to bid for a roofer then, and then do that. So, and you know, depending on the scope of the project, there might be some other small things that we could knock off energy efficiency wise. So, last year, as you know, we replaced the boiler in the high school, the old boiler, and we replaced the chiller here in the elementary school. So, both of which, the chiller here predated the age of the building, and the boiler over there was used when it was put in. So.
How did the air conditioning work this summer in the building? Perfect. Because
Yeah.
I remember many years, it'd be hot one day and cool the
Yeah,
next.
I think it's
and-
been much more consistent for them, and it should be saving us money too. I mean, we're supposed to see energy savings on these, so. So that is the energy efficiency project. The other item that I wanted to just briefly mention was last board meeting, you had authorized expenditures, if necessary, up to $75,000. We have expended about 25,000 of that. The reason being, the primary reason where approximately 18,000 of that went, we paid off our assessment and our concrete bill.
Oh, for the village.
For the village.
Okay.
So we paid off the assessment. They had sent us the bill for both. We really could have put them in either budget year. We decided get them off the books, so we weren't worrying about budgeting it as an item this year. And then there was some transfers and some miscellaneous end of year expenses that accounted for about $7,000.
That's out of the authorized fund balance money.
Yep. So we don't think we're gonna have to touch much more of it, if any of it. So that authorized fund balance expenditure, again, we only did about 25,000 out of the 75. And we really did take the village piece as get that off of the books, so we don't have to worry about that moving forward, so.
As far as you know, all invoices for the last year are in, and
Well, that's,
As far as
we
we
have
know of.
accounted, and, yep, you
Okay.
know, with the MasterCard, we've got everything that we believe is accounted for
Yeah.
with POs and yes, so we hope we've got it all under control.
And just on an item, one item that came up end of the year here, and it's really moving into next year's budget, but something, we are gonna receive more state aid next year. So, of about $62,000. However, our revenue cap went down about 200,000. So, we get a little more state aid, but we can't tax for a whole lot more, you know, so really, what we received in state aid did not offset our reduction on our revenue limit by any means. So, made up for it a little bit, but not much. So.
All right. Number 8, questions and comments from people in attendance? There is none. So we'll go on to the consent agenda. Are there any gifts?
Yes, we have, Mr. Martin received a donation of 8 cribbage boards from Mike Barrett of Barrett's Auction Service, and Kathy Kocha of Loveland, Colorado. So they received some cribbage boards for Tim's class.
is this where it would be appropriate to ask a question about the revenue reports that are included? I noticed when looking at, I'm not sure even which heading it was, one of the class accounts, I believe it was the class of 2016 that just
Oh, an
graduated,
activity account?
showed a $1,300 deficit. Unless I'm not reading that correctly.
Usually they're in the negative, means that's what they have,
Okay, so negative is good.
in the Fund 60
Oh,
accounts.
In the
okay,
activity
that
accounts.
must-
In the
That
activity
must have been
accounts?
what it was.
Yep.
That was Fund 60.
Yep, that usually means that's in the positive.
Oh, all right, silly me, I saw a minus in front of it.
I know.
I
We
just,
went out on a class trip, but we didn't spend that much money.
Yeah.
We didn't spend it all, I should say.
it showed balance ending in negative
No,
$1,344.55.
it's, no, in
So
fact.
that's not in fact a negative.
No, and in the accounting world, that's.
The other ones
Oh.
are 2,000, the one
Yeah.
below.
Yeah.
Cool.
What
Yeah.
was the class trip? How was it?
What was it?
Oh, we went to Minneapolis, we went to the Mall of America and to Valley Fair.
I'm guessing Tyler didn't go?
No, he was gone.
Okay.
So those are all actual positive numbers.
So I hope that.
That's
doesn't-
what's
I hope that doesn't mean that the
available in
cash on
account.
deposit at the beginning is 23,000 in the hole then. So, okay, never mind.
Yeah, no.
Thank you for enlightening
Yeah,
me.
that's an accounting piece with that particular account.
Yep.
Okay, that's fine. I was just, it struck me as
That's a
odd that
good
the class
question.
that graduated the class that graduated appeared to be in deficit, and I'm like, really? Okay, never mind. Thank you for enlightening me. Yet again.
Any other questions on consent agenda? Okay, seek a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So
Nice.
move.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. It's approved. Unfinished business, there is none. New business, consider acceptance of request for release from 2016-17 teaching contract. Renee Simon.
I would recommend you release that. We have received the liquidated damages.
So moved.
I'll second.
Seconded by Kathy. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed say nay. It's approved. Consider approval of 2016-17 transfer of .42 FTE school counseling contract. Jennifer Moore.
Yep, that was the position that we approved at the last board meeting, the increased counseling position. That Jen will actually now be a .58 school counselor for us, because she was previously approved under the old staffing plan to do about 16% of her contract. So one class a day was going to be counseling under the old plan. She'll still keep that, plus she's adding the .42, and we recommend you approve that.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second by Tracy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say nay. It's approved. 13, consider approval of 2016-17 increase to .83 FTE teaching contract. Jill Wyland.
This is the classes that, this represents the English classes that
Jennifer, previous.
Jennifer will give up. Jill is already a .66, so it's actually only, it's only increasing Jill's contract by .17. It brings her up to .83 total. We're going to rework, she did 2 periods a day of special education. We're going to rework that down to 1 period a day in special education, and the rest of her day will be English. So,
Is there a motion to approve?
I so move.
Second.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay.
just on a side note on that, Jen Moore is going to keep the upper level, the AP and the pre-AP English. So,
All right. 14, consider approval of the declaration and parent notice of district student academic standards.
this was a piece that the legislature put into law a year ago that basically said we had to publish what standards we use. And since we use pretty much all of the standards approved by the state at this point, that's what we put out there and publish. We only need to do it for the areas of math, writing, reading, science, geography, and history. Those are the ones we are required to post and put out there. Our teachers are using, even though the state went away from the Common Core as its official, the state still lists all those standards out there because those were the last set of standards that they had in place. And those are the standards our teachers are still operating under. The one area we are investigating changing our standards is in science. There's been some major updates in something that you might have heard as next generation science standards. And our science staff started working last year on doing a rewrite of their curriculum and standards. We'll probably have that prepared for you at some point this year to approve for the following year. So, but otherwise I would recommend passage of this and then we'll get it published.
Okay, is there a motion to consider approval?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Opportunity for individual board member comment. Joe?
Yeah, couple things that have come up when I'm on Facebook and other social media since I was last sitting here that I wanted to bring up and just mention to the board and also to the public just for awareness, dealing with vouchers, because we're all paying for vouchers whether we have voucher schools in our district or not. A fellow named Michael Ford from the UW Oshkosh, who was very much a supporter of vouchers, did a study, and between 1991 and 2015, 41% of Milwaukee voucher schools have failed. 102 have closed. Startup failure rate has been 68%. And he said, and this is a quote from his study, that vouchers have underestimated how difficult it is to run a school. That was what he learned from it. The Chippewa Herald had an article that the amount of state money spent on each student using a private school voucher has increased by about 14% since 2010, according to a recent state memo. And at the same time, the amount of money that the state spends on each public school student has decreased by about 4%, according to a memo released this week by not this week, but the week that the article was written, by the Nonpartisan Legislative Fiscal Bureau at the request of Senator Bewley of Ashland. And during the 2010-11 school year, the state spent $5,318 per public school student, and this past school year, the state spent $5,108 in that time, and the number of public school students had decreased from 858,000 to 854. But the amount of state money dedicated to each school voucher increased from 6,442 in 2010-11 to 7,214 for students in grades K-8 and to 7,860 for high school students this past school year, an increase of about 14% when using a weighted average of the K-8. And I don't know, it just strikes me as odd that, we find ourselves trying to offer our teachers a decent salary and compensation. Tonight we had our bargaining session with them, and there's not much that we can give them, and yet we're sending an awful lot of public school money to private schools. Just had to get it off my chest. Thank you.
Leo?
Along that same general line, would remind and encourage the public and all of the board members that there is a primary election coming up on August 9th, I believe.
Yes.
And there will be at least some local races where there will be a primary election that's very important. Only about 10% of the electorate generally votes in the fall primary, so your vote counts more than it would under any other circumstance, and it should be marked on calendars, and people should be sure to get to the polls with proper ID, so that their vote will count.
All right. Kathy?
I just would like to remind people of the Port Fun Fest coming up on August 12th and 13th, which is a real Port Edwards community affair, and I think it's important that we support the community as much as we can as the school district and the school board members.
All right. Tracy, you got anything? And, yeah, I don't have anything either, so establish future board meetings. Next board meeting will be August 22nd, and September 12th, there will be a September meeting. Number 17, consideration of motion to adjourn into closed session.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second by Tracy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? So we are in closed session. All right.
And it's a roll call, so Tracy,
Here.
Kathy,
Here?
John,
Here.
Leo,
Yep.
and me here.
All right. Now we need a motion to approve the 2016-17 sports staff administrative support, support staff and administrative support
And
plan as discussed in closed session
So
And
move.
administration.
and administration.
So move.
Second?
Motion by Leo, second by Joe. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And nobody, so that's approved. Now seek a motion to approve the 2016-17 collective bargaining agreement between Port Edwards School District and the Port Edwards Education Association as we did discuss in this little closed session.
So moved.
A second.
And just keep in mind, the Port Edwards Education Association could always choose to not approve it. So
Right, correct.
you're just simply approving what you've negotiated with them at this point. So,
Correct.
yep.
So there's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion is approved. Call for adjournment.
So moved.
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 You're adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank you.
You enjoy your week.